It's often thought that all white sugar comes from sugar cane, but 30% of the world's white sugar supply actually comes from the sugar beet. While sugarcane grows only in tropical climates, the hardier sugar beet can be cultivated in cooler regions and in poorer soil. It takes about 7 beets to produce a kilogram of sugar. The byproducts of processing, molasses and beet pulp, are used for animal feed. Sugar beets are processed into various grades of sugar. It's the lower grades that are reprocessed to become white sugar. Like many crops, beets are planted in the spring and harvested in the autumn. Mechanical harvesters can deal with 6 rows at a time. They rip the plant out of the ground and chop off the leaves and crown, leaving just the bulbous root. These roots typically weigh about 900 grams. Roughly 18% of that is sucrose, or sugar. A loader transfers the harvested beets into trucks. The loader has a sieve which removes about 1/3 of the soil along the way. When the trucks arrive at the sugar refinery, they unload the beets and the remaining soil and stones onto a conveyor belt, which transports them to a washing station. First they head into a revolving drum. Under a shower of water, the beets rub against each other, dislodging the soil. The water flow carries the floating beets out of the drum. The stones sink to the bottom and are collected in separator buckets along the edge. A screw conveyor moves the beets to a transfer system, which brings them inside the factory to be processed into sugar. Inside, slicing machines cut the incoming beets into cossets, or small strips. The cossets travel on a conveyor belt into a large tank of hot water, where they soak for a few minutes. Here their cell membranes begin opening, clearing the way for the next process, sucrose extraction. The cossets are pumped to the bottom of a 20-meter-high extraction tower. A rotating shaft within the tower transports them slowly upward against the downward flow of hot water. This draws out the sucrose, producing a sugary water called raw juice. The next step is to purify this raw juice. In a giant kiln, they burn limestone with coke. This produces the chemical compound calcium hydroxide, which is also called lime milk. They add it in several stages to the raw juice. Meanwhile, they press the sucrose-stripped cassettes into pulp to sell as animal feed. They add carbon dioxide to the lime milk and juice mixture. This absorbs 1/3 of the juice's impurities, which are then filtered out. The raw juice has now become a golden sugar solution called thin juice. Next, the thin juice enters a 6-step evaporation process, which reduces it to a thick syrup. From there, they pump it into a 4-phase crystallization system. In phase 1, they heat the syrup and add seed crystals. These are tiny sugar crystals which are made separately using a complex cooling and evaporating process. As the water in the juice evaporates, about half of the sucrose crystallizes around the seed crystals. Then a centrifuge machine separates the crystals, called refined sugar, from the remaining syrup. The syrup goes through this process 3 more times, producing a lesser grade of sugar each time. The factory dissolves and recrystallizes the lower 2 grades. The 2 highest grades of sugar go into dryers. On the way, they pass through a screening machine which extracts the large crystals. These are also dissolved and put through the crystallization process again. In the end, there are 2 grades of beet sugar which are stored in silos until it's time to package them for sale as refined sugar and white sugar. Personally, I'm sweet enough, thank you.